Hello, friends. Once again, I welcome all of you. I am Audrey Yadav. Now, today's topic of my discussion and sharing information with you about the ongoing dispute of Israel and Palestine. And I'm not going to get into reference of war, but it's a case that is in the ICJ, International Court of Justice, uh, was brought by the South Africa against the genocidal attempt by the Israel forces. Whatever Israel is doing there is that it is attempt of genocide. If you want to the judicial pronouncement, I will tell you about the pronouncement of judgment when the ICJ will make it in future. They will pronounce. But what is the power of ICJ? That's my question. ICJ. What is ICJ? International Court of Justice. And what is its power? It is a kind of toothless body, a toothless tiger, you can call it. But let me tell you about ICJ, International Court of Justice, and its functioning, how it functions. India many times has gone there uh, against the Pakistan as well. So it's a reference for India as well. But India win the case against Mr. Jadhav, who is in incarceration in Pakistan right now. Just set aside that matter, but come to the point. Over 23,000 Palestinians uh, have been killed, and 90% of Gaza's population displaced in Israel offensive that started after the 7th October. Everybody knows that 7th October by the Hamas, and 1,200 Israelis has been killed by the Hamas attempt, and 240, 50 people have been, you know. Uh, so my question is, International Court of Justice, a UN judicial body, highest UN judicial body, is now the case instituted by the South Africa, I told you, accusing that Israel is committing genocide attempt in Gaza. Okay, so Israel has rejected the genocidal allegations as proceeding in the proceeding is going on in the world court since 2 days. It is will continue into the coming months. Okay, seated as a peace palace into the Hague. Hague means the Netherlands. Okay, the ICJ was established in June 1948. June 1945, after the Second World War, exactly. When Second World War ended, people felt that there should be no war in the future. And definitely genocide kind of things, crushing the human rights kind of thing should not again happen. That's why these courts have been established. June 1945, after the end of the Second World War. To establish the international peace, the UN Charter established it, and it has a legal backing, of a UN Charter. Though the decision of the United Nations top court, which is currently hearing a case instituted by the South Africa accusing the Israel for committing genocide in Gaza, are legally binding and cannot be appealed against because there are no appellate, authority above this court. They are also defending the absence of enforcement mechanism. There is no enforcement mechanism. I will tell you in detail. I'm reading the Hindu newspaper. Okay, uh, everything should be put into the perspective so that the clarity comes out. The multilateral forum, okay, has a dual judicial power, advisory jurisdiction, as well as jurisdiction in the contentious cases. Advisory jurisdiction, advisory means court advice, tenders advice towards any case. Only case this court heard from state disputes. Individual dispute, this court doesn't heard. Okay, so only if there is a dispute between the state, then state can file the courts their petition. While the former uh, related to the jurisdiction, the advisory jurisdiction for the court is providing legal opinion on the matter referred to it, okay, by the organs and the specialized agency of the United Nations. And later means the contentious cases involve settling dispute between the countries and determining state responsibility for crimes committed in violation of international law. ICJ was established after the uh, predecessor, the Permanent Court of International Justice, fell into dissuaded following its inability to enforce its mandate during the intervening years between the two world wars. So this court, Permanent Court of International Justice, was before uh, and during the World War, but it didn't uh, uh, perform. It showed his inability to perform his function. So again, this ICJ was formed in 1945, but it is also right now a toothless body. The court has a 15-member judges who are appointed for 9-year term. Okay, 9-year terms through a separate simultaneous elections at the UN and United Nations Security Council as well. However, ad hoc judges are sometimes appointed in the cases that requires specialized knowledge about the concerned disputes. ICJ judges ought to be impartial and cannot act as extensions of their countries. However, in the cases, judges have also voted in line with the politics of their respective nations. For instance, in 2022, when the court ordered Russia to immediately halt its military operations in Ukraine, judges from the Russia and China were the only ones who voted against the decision. In fact, India's appointment to the ICJ Justice Dalveer Bhandari voted in the favor of the opinion measures against the Russia had been misconceived to be in conflict with India's official stand at the UN, since India has abstained from voting on all key resolutions pertaining to the Ukraine-Russia war. Politically, India abstained each and everything, but the Indian judge who was listening the case against the Russia-Ukraine, dispute against the Russia, but Indian judge Balbir Bhadoria voted against this. He gave his judgment, pronounced his judgment. It may be in the favor of Russia or not in the favor of Russia, but that was against the favor of Russia. But politically, India abstained each and everywhere. So that's the way. But it is assumed that the judges will not make any partial judgment pronouncement, but you know, uh, judges is just their mental calculations comes out. That's the but they are assumed presumed to be impartial. No enforcement powers. This court has no enforcement power. Although the court's decisions are legally binding and cannot be appealed against, they are often defied in the absence of enforcement mechanism of its own. The UN Charter authorized the UNSC to enforce, United Nations Security Council to enforce the court's decision. However, its compliance is often at the mercy of power politics. Okay, they have veto powers. 5 members, they can veto, the decision of ICC, so would not be implemented properly. It has happened in the past. So look at it is a mercy of the power politics of the permanent members of the Security Council. The enforcement of any adverse ruling against Israel is likely to be vetoed by its strongest ally, United States. Whatever the judgment, but whatever the judgment, it definitely by the law, it is a genocidal attempt, no doubt, and ICJ will pronounce it. This is the genocidal attempt. Yes, but when the court will pronounce it, the entire world will know. Either it is implemented or not implemented, that is another thing. But it will malign the image of Israel internationally. Politically, United States can defend Israel into the by through his veto power. But its international image of this Israel nation would be maligned. If ICJ pronounce against Israel and admits that this is the genocidal attempt are being done by Israel. And in my conscience, it is yes, they are committing genocidal attempt. I have made my previous video, have discussed about various aspects, what makes the genocidal attempt. You know. So it is going on, and definitely ICJ will pronounce it in the favor of genocide, African, uh, and it would be against Israel. It is clear that there is no doubt. Another chance to the court's efficiency in the participation of powerful member state in the proceedings. The proceedings instituted by the Ukraine-Russia war later refused to advance the stage in light of the apparent absurdity of lawsuit. Similarly, Nicaragua, various other things have been mentioned here. In 2019, by the case instituted by the Gambia against the Myanmar, and uh, the Nobel Prize winner Suki, who was the president of Myanmar then, right now she is in jail, was she bent on ICJ court and defended itself against the Rohingya Muslims who were genocidal attempt going on, was against the Myanmar. So that was very nice measure. But uh, two prior case I told you about Russia, about Myanmar, but uh, you know this court body doesn't have enforcement mechanism how to enforce it. So that makes this body ineffective. Relevance of the court. Once the last few decades, you know, over the last few decades, states have approached the court to rule on areas of international law that were not previously common in its doc- doct, such as human rights and environmental violations. ICJ has also been successfully in furthering the participation of states that have not accepted its compulsory jurisdiction by invoking its authority through the dispute settlement clauses and special agreements. Romania recently advanced a declaration in support of the court jurisdiction in which over 30 states have joined so far. So this kind of dispute, I told you, the functioning, the 15-member body and 9 years judges tenure term, and it is a truthless body and various things I told you. it listens the case, and sometime yes, Mr. Jadhav case, in case of India and Pakistan dispute, courts uh, stopped his you know death killing sentence given by the Pakistani authorities. That decision was in the favor of India. So that's, if a state admits that, they have to follow, and they have any respect for international law, they may have abide by that decision. Otherwise, they can defy. As Israel has already many defied United Nations Security Council, many resolutions Israel has defied. They never accepted, and then those things never got implemented. So it happens in international politics. But the Security Council member, that's why India is always proclaiming that I want United Nations Security Council seat, because he also wants to get the power to defend its interest into the United Nations Security Council. Mr. S. Jaishankar, each and every day, whenever he speaks, it defends and proclaims that he needs Security Council seat. You know, there is a reason for this. Uh, but it's a channel that is goes through implementation, is goes through United Nations Security Council, that makes the problem. Hmm. Uh, Thank you very much. It was all about this. I told you by key points: 15-member body, 9 years, 10 term, no implementation. United Nations Security Council have does say into, but the politics, who politicians, the politics actually prevails over justice. Hmm. So they would veto it and would cancel out all the things. But the state, uh, if ICJ pronounce it, internationally that state's image will be affected by that. Thank you very much. Thanks.